Something different. A few years ago, last year, we decided we're going to do all. To see what it was testing.
I'll tell you, that looks absolutely super. I hope it's able to hold up, but it sure looks good.
It won't, it'll last longer than it won't. And, but it won't, it's ever be.
It doesn't take too much. People spin that tire a little bit. Set.
That's where our,
Or sure, I want.
sure.
What's better for you?
Big deal, sir. It's like a day. Sure.
Prepared for that. Is it just us there? Maybe we should check in with
I think, pretty sure Coco.
She was in there.
She had stopped me and asked if I was going to make it. Unfortunately, I'll be out of town this week.
Who's the unfortunate?
Yes. It's not very good.
Good day. How's your Texas?
Absolutely.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think it rained.
Energy, time, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey, Cricket, just want to let you know, on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, we can make more copies of it. We're going to block it. Okay. We'll be A, not B.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll be B, the head of A.
So, and maybe got mentioned, I don't know. Oh, you know, okay, this is the last one.
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't seen this.
That's why I wanted to.
Okay.
Stop. And send it back.
You had a good vacation.
It is.
And now is there a time when you want to think about it?
No, it's good.
Let me know your schedule is more complicated than mine. All of mine always tends to be complicated and then on the same day. So it just. Thinking maybe if it works out, because often you need someone that's in that department to find things for people who would be useful in the machine. What we're gonna do, what we're gonna try and save and whatever. At least that's what it seems like.
And Crystal's here waiting, so.
Okay.
Even though she usually stays.
Cricket.
I'm sorry. Even so she usually stays.
Okay. I so moved. We'll do that. Hearing no public comment, we'll move on down to action item, and we'll start with action item 3B, Marshfield Cemetery update.
Move from one room to the other here. So, Cricket Souls, and I get to volunteer both at the Marshfield Pioneer Cemetery as well as the Marshfield High School. So a lot of things we do in joint. So we're not quite halfway through all the repair work that was identified at the cemetery as far as work we wouldn't want to do ourselves, requires too much specialized equipment or whatnot, to get headstones repaired that was identified in our crowdfunding assessment. So we're halfway through. So our grant writer sort of had tacit approval from this group to look at grants, and right now, no one else probably is in the same position, but if you're up against city, like eventually when the community building is, hopefully has their nomination, we may be competing head-to-head on things, but for right now, we want to make sure that everyone's good with us moving forward at looking at a Preserving Oregon grant, and then potentially a historic cemetery grant. So the benefits of those is that will get us through all the major we hope, major ones that we want to get done. So just want to make sure, we've sort of got that tacit approval before. Want to clarify that and make sure it's still good to go.
You might note in the application, because I was in a meeting with them a couple weeks ago, that this would bring it to the completion and that you wouldn't be intending to do that particular grant again, the historic preservation grant.
Yeah, I mean, well, we might sometime.
Yeah, might
but
in the
no,
future,
no,
but the
but this will
intent
help
was-
us get it completed.
Yeah.
That's, and they really like, they can offer up to $20,000, and we've done the $10,000 one time, because that's a manageable one. The other thing we need to do is we have to have the match, and we really look for a lot of the small matches. So we're looking at alumni, and I'm going to push a little harder on our Ignored No More, Just Give 4. So if you went to school at Marshfield for 4 years, you can give 4 hours of service, which one of your members has done way more than that. But we got a couple members here, or $4. And it's that crowdfunding idea that a lot of people can participate in. So we're going to push a little harder on getting that going so we can show that there's community support of it still, because I think that's more
I think that would
important.
be excellent, and then noting how far this grant has gone, and then that we're excited for other buildings and things.
Right.
So I just gleaned that, not that they said that, but just based on some gleaning the conversation there, I think.
Exactly. We all want to share the wealth.
Yes.
So that's really important. So we will still partner with OBAB, although we only have one scheduled for this year, which maybe we'll want them back. But we're going to go with the one because our most important time for visitors and everything else is Memorial Day. So they'll be in before that. And again, we want to partner with Solve. We were one of the first cemeteries that did that way back when, and they actually changed the rules so we could continue partnering with them. So we want to do that this year. Last year it was sort of an early bird section. I think this year we'll do it more in a little bit more together with OBAB, and if I don't know what we do without them. So that's our big thing for May, as well as thing that sort of is our things that we do at the Marshfield High School for the Memorial Day program. So we were asked to do a blog post by the Oregon Heritage people, because they know how much we try to get the education and do that kind of with us. Well, we failed. I brought back my little present in the way of a virus from Kentucky. And also it was right at the end of the Christmas thing, so we didn't get that done. So I think some of you know we made these Himalays, which are a Finnish thing, and they're connected with the winter solstice and the sun and all that. So we're trying to redeem ourselves. So we put together a really quick thing, and I love partnering with Mrs. O and her art class. And we are now doing lunar things, and it's the Chinese New Year. So they've put together some simple things, and if you can figure out what it's the year of,
The snake.
it's a wooden snake. And they didn't want anyone to feel bad, so they actually said you could call it a mini dragon if you wanted. But trying to teach some of the cultural things, we're not trying to be religious or anything, we're just teaching cultural things. And we did have Chinese buried in the cemetery. And about 10 years ago, they actually found the records for the people that were found and disinterred from the cemetery, put in the little ossuary boxes and sent back to China. So this will be a way to have some, drawings and things that will be hung on the fence that people can see. We'll just laminate them and hang it on our little things, and then I'll have the text to go with it and some pictures of the documentation that do that. So we're going to do that. We try and keep doing things. And then, and we'll keep doing that. I often get Friday detention, and so I have a built-in work crew that I can put to work doing things. So one thing, and again, I asked Greg about, but I'd like to, make sure we do things. The Coos Bay Garden Club generally has an annual tour, and it's a garden tour, and they try to get 10 gardens if they can, but some number of gardens that people can pay their $10 and tour these gardens. So we don't have much in the way of plants at the Pioneer Cemetery. We have a few, and we have some significant things like our significant wax myrtles. But I'd like to be able to offer that as a stop on this tour, because I think it's a great community partnership. They're a nonprofit. They're raising money for a $1,000 scholarship for either North Bend or Marshfield, and you would be absolutely amazed how many people don't even realize you can go into the cemetery. So this would be, it's usually the first Saturday in August. Probably won't compete with any event in an athletic event, but I'll certainly double check. So I'd like to make sure we can do that. They have lots of insurance, and we're half on the school and half on the city anyway. So again, just kind of opening that up to make sure that you know what we're doing over there. So that will be our other thing. And then we just started a project. It was originally started with St. Monica's youth group, and it may be not going to work out as much, but we've identified Catholics and coal miners. Some are the same. So we're trying to put together some little backpacks that they could be checked out, whether they're at the library or at the visitor center. And for instance, the coal mining one would have the book Stars in the Stars by Dow Beckham, Stephen Dow Beckham's father. So we'd have stuff on that. Hopefully I can talk with Steve Greif and he'd let it. And one person who's also buried in the cemetery was a miser and kept his gold, and they thought that would help build the church, but instead he sent it on to these same organizations. So talking about the history and how people succeeded, one contributor to our fundraising things, she was a professor at Marylhurst when it was still functioning, and runs her own design firm, and her family came as coal miners and probably didn't know how to write. And look at where they've come now. So we want to share that. And because we have so many immigrants, and right now Marshfield has so many first, second generation, something that maybe resonates with some of those kids too. So that's what we're working on. And I think and one last thing we did, again, we learned a lot at the Soulmates plan. I was going towards Ingersoll and going out one day, and 3 deer came out of the cemetery right in front of me. And so in talking to Paul Addis at the library, he lived up on, originally right on 7th and now lives up on 13th, so he frequents that Ingersoll. He said that's a real problem, that he has to be very careful going up there. There is someone that feeds him in that area, but also they come out of the cemetery and it's unexpected. So my husband, it's not pretty, but it's going to see if it does the job. We went in over the weekend and put some woven wire fencing that completely closes off that corner behind the rock wall. So unlikely that they can get out there. Probably they're not likely to jump over the arched wall or under it. And then there was one more runway that we found and put some more posts in there, and kids will probably get to fill that up a little tomorrow. So we're looking to make sure that that's taken care of, and Paul's going to alert us if we still seem to have deer coming in and out in places that make it dangerous. So
Deer do sometimes have wings that we can't see, and they can fly over things and get places that you never thought that they would. But I
Deer-
think that sounds like a good solution. 'cause
Yeah,
that is kind of a
and we
blind
just
spot
need
right there.
people to look and see. I mean, who knew? And
Yeah.
it's only been in the last 3 years that we've had deer in there, and there's been about 5 of them, and during the rut, it's our biggest feature. I mean, people
Yeah.
love to come take pictures of the deer, but they're not really what we need in there.
Yeah.
And if during rut and that, they're rubbing on the headstones, maybe that's not so good. And I absconded with, I'm sorry, I didn't make enough for everyone though, but I absconded with city property in November, and our apple tree there, which was probably a volunteer from kids having lunch out there, I made some apple butter out of that with cardamom for our Scandinavian things, and basically used that for some of our supporters, not that you aren't, but for some of our supporters at school and other places, so that we could recognize that. And it was kind of fun to make it from the apples from the cemetery.
That's very cool.
So it was good.
Any
Any
commissioner
questions or?
Thank you for everything that you do. It's
Well,
absolutely amazing.
Keeps me busy and out of trouble.
Yeah, and I really like the relationship, since the high school is right there, the relationship that you've helped build and that connects the two.
It's really important. Like today, when we did the Chinese thing, we have a Chinese American that's in the very first row, and she was trafficked. And I could explain that to the girls. I said, we have a woman there, and she was what? And I said, yeah, there was actually a Supreme Court case for the state. How old was she? Was she 16 or not when she was married? Was it forcible? So we can have kind of significant conversations with people. And they were right on trafficking. That's become something that they're aware of. And sadly, Oregon is one of the worst states in the union for allowing young women to be married off. And that's sad. But at least letting them be aware of what's going on is a really good thing. And talk about other things. We kidded, we taught them a new slur word, because sometimes you use the word and might not realize it's a slur. So again, it was celestials, and a lot of the Chinese were called celestials. Now, we might not think anything of that, that sounds pretty cool to be called a celestial or something, but that was actually a slur word. So try and teach kids about having that safe conversation. I don't think we know any Chinese Americans that we're likely to call them that, but talk about what's appropriate when you refer to other things. So getting that cultural information, because we have so many people from different cultures in the cemetery, so that gives us an advantage over maybe some other sites that don't have that. So,
Cricket, I was just going to say, I think the garden club idea is wonderful.
okay.
And I think the highlighting the history of mining in the area is really wonderful too. And that book by Dow Beckham is a really good one as well. So
I'm looking for another copy because the one got sold out of the Friends bookstore. So in case someone has a copy
I've got one.
that they don't care about,
No, I care about it.
I know, so that you don't, that you won't see again. And I do have one, so we'll look on that. So thank you. And those were sort of easy. We'd like to have more brochures. So we'll start with this, and we'll get the kids kind of writing up a few of those little stories and see where we go from there, because there's lots to do. And we have about 80 of each, and some cross over 80 Catholics and about 80 coal miners there, so.
Yeah, a lot of people don't remember or don't realize that we did so much coal. And I remember doing a research project years ago, and I came across a San Francisco Times article, and it said,
Right.
Marshfield coal, the cleanest coal you can buy.
They lied. But it was very soft and not very clean, and so not very much was
Yeah, not
sent
great.
down after the earthquake. But the Gibbs still continued to mine in this area and supply little situations that had coal fighter things all the way till the 40s. Yeah. And so many of our names, like Bunker Hill, like Colito, they have that connection with coal mining. Like, who knew there was a huge Japanese population in Colito that mined out there? Who knew?
No.
So now you do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cricket.
Okay, I do not see anyone for the quarterly report kayak vendor. Do you have any updates for us, Greg, that you'd like to share?
I do. So they had planned on being here today. Unfortunately, I got an email from them yesterday saying they had to go out of town on an emergency. But they provided us with the activity analysis at the writing of the staff report about 2 weeks ago. And so that was the most up-to-date at the time. So I was hoping they were going to be here to kind of explain this document a little bit. At the end of the day, though, the total amount that they garnered last year was a total of $2,610 from that vending machine for I think it was like the 5 months that they were open at John Toppet's. And so I think in their opinion, it was a successful launch, and they're really hoping to double that this year. I think they anticipate that. They said this is by far the most successful machine that they have. It far exceeded the rentals out at 10 Mile. So they're really pleased with that.
And 2 people went out in December. It might have been that one warm day that we had.
Maybe the 2 warm days that we had.
Yeah.
But this is the analysis, and we can definitely dig a little bit deeper, and I can get this information. If you have any specific questions regarding this, I can pursue that with them and provide it at the next Parks Commission meeting, if there's any questions regarding this document. But I think the city staff's point of view is that this is we're having a great relationship with these folks. They're very responsible. They've shared some videos with staff when there's been cases of vandalism. They do have a Ring camera up there, and they can immediately talk with the person or people at the time. And so for us, it's just another set of eyes out there as well. And so for us, it's good. So we can, like I said, if there are any questions about any of the documentation or the report, we can definitely dig into that a little bit deeper.
Did they identify any problems or concerns that they have?
They have no concerns. They didn't voice any concerns or problems that they were having out there.
And I think the last time they were in, they commented that because of the Ring camera and the way the system's set up, that they've had no vandalism. So it's, knock on wood, but to have another group of users in the park, because the more use, the less likely we are to have the uses we don't want.
Correct. And then I did verify with them that they have submitted their percentage to the city based off of that dollar amount, and that amount was $182.70 submitted to the city. And that we do have an activity number set up in the 01306 fund that money will be, in the parks resource that money will be allocated into.
Okay. That's our money. Nobody touch it.
Let's get one of these in Mingus Park whenever we get that thing dredged.
Use.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Save. Spend.
Yeah, spend it.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll move on down to action item 3C, the annual election for chair and vice chairperson. It's so exciting that we do this regularly now instead of just delegating someone and then they're stuck with it until they leave. So.
Correct. I think it's awesome. I think.
Second, you go.
I will nominate Ariane Lyons as chair and Carmen Matthews as vice chair.
Second,
All right.
railroad it again.
We have a first and second. Do we have any additional comments? Hearing none, call for vote. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank the two of you for doing it. Seriously, I made a joke, but I really do appreciate you both doing it. You've done a great job, too.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Is that what it's going to, we'll note that. That'll say on my tombstone.
There you go.
Well, congratulations, Chair, Vice Chair.
Thank you so much. And then more appointments is action item 3D, the Adopt a Park member appointment.
So the fact-finding committee, as established since its conception, has been filled with 3 commissioners. The question for the body today is, does the commission want to appoint a commissioner or have a commissioner step up to be the 3rd? Or does the commission want to continue and move forward with a 2-member fact-finding committee.
I'm hoping we can find another Coco.
I,
Anybody on board?
she's literally one of a kind.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
I don't even know how she has that much energy.
So if I
We-
can ask, if the commission would like to appoint a commissioner to the open position of on the Adopt a Park Pilot Program Fact-Finding Committee, or make a motion to move forward with a 2-member fact-finding committee.
When is council assigning us new members?
So the application process closes, I think, January 31st. And I can find out, I'm not sure when it goes to council for the applications, or
Okay.
for the interviews. I can find out on that.
Okay.
I think once that, we have more members, then perhaps I would like to add a third to go forward.
Yeah, I would support a third too, and I think it is a good idea to look at, since we're at down 3, and one of those people that gets appointed may have a real interest in working in one of the parks too, so.
And that's a great way, because the applications are due at the end of the month, so if you know somebody they would like that to be their focus, perhaps you volunteered with them out at the parks, it would be a great time for them to apply, with that being their focus. So if you think of someone that maybe is not so interested in all the other parts and pieces, because we have so many things going on, but really, really has some energy for that, it would be great for them to apply.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all you need?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item 4, future agendas, regular meetings and work sessions. If you want to take a look at the proposed or the agenda and scheduled meetings for 2025. Let's see, is there items for the work session for February 6th? Are there items that we would like to discuss and delve into? One thing that is our continued conversation is, of course, funding and moving that forward in other directions. And is there any other items that, that are in need of a work session?
And by funding, we mean things like foundation, any sort of revenue gaining mechanisms, but those are still on the table. But the-
Literally everything's on the table,
Yeah.
including buying lottery tickets tonight, so.
Got it.
Not intended for, what do they call that? Investment purposes.
Yes.
But, roll of the dice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can donate anonymously, so. So I think it might be good to recap and have some discussion on that and where we're at. We had also looked at some of our goals in the fall, and I think it would be nice to look at possibly doing another meeting of the minds with council at some point. I liked when we had our joint work session. It would be nice, I think, to have something like that again in the future. Not necessarily that we have anything here, but looking through the whole year, it would be nice to make that more of a routine connection.
I'm wondering for the February 6th work session, if there is maybe that's an okay time to do some goal setting for the year? Or, we've been working on these work sessions on the bike pedestrian master plan concept. I don't know if that's something that we want to throw in there here pretty soon, but I don't want to let the heat of that topic.
Go away.
Yeah.
When are we getting the Safe Routes to Schools update? When's that next update?
Well, we just met with the Alta Planning last week to go over their draft recommendations. They've given us the opportunity to to review the recommendations and to make comment on those recommendations. We have to provide those thoughts back to them, I think, this next week. And then from there, there's a few other steps. But as far as the next meeting is going to be ironing out those final recommendations. So we're still a little bit away from getting their final recommendations and moving into that, but I believe their time frame was by the summertime, having those final recommendations put together.
Can we have a work session where we review some of that and the recommendations, so that if we have our 2 cents, because we have lots of dollars and cents to add, maybe we could do that, and then that takes some of the pressure off of you of relaying the information each time?
It's looking over, I just got the recommendations. I missed the last meeting, but I have all the recommendations that came in from Alta that Greg printed off for me, and there's lots of recommendations, but no priorities. That's something that I think you and staff have to come to a conclusion on, and we can give input on those individual things. So yeah, that makes sense. You just need crosswalk striping, you need cuts, that sort of thing. But there are some in there that need some real thought, because they're either going to be very expensive or they're questionable.
Yeah, and so one of the goals from this recommendation section of this process is that the team, the PIP team, or the SRTS team, is to set priorities. During that meeting, the question was asked by staff was, how do we set those priorities, or who sets those priorities? And so the comment in question, or the comment back from the Alta Planning is the 10-member team provide our list of priorities. And so that's part of this recommendation process, is to kind of weed out what those priorities are. And so we have, members from the schools, we have members of the Parks Commission, we have members of staff, we have members of the public on this team. And so we're going to have differing levels of priorities from the team. And so that's another complication, I think. But I think that Alta Planning, once they get that, we're hoping that we can drill down a little bit and establish what those priorities might look like. Jamie's absolutely correct in that some of these recommendations are lofty goals, and
Yeah.
some of those recommendations are very expensive. The assumption is that, or what Alta Planning told us, is that, each community that goes through this typically sees about $2 million in construction grants. Now, we have 3 schools on this project, so $2 million doesn't go very far when it comes to some of these projects. But, we want to make sure that we're getting the most bang for the buck, and we want to make sure that we're being effective with it. And so we definitely can bring the recommendations to this body as we move forward. I think is a great idea. So
Maybe-
more to follow up on.
Maybe the 6th would be an okay time to do that, or is there anything else that we want to focus on? Would we rather focus on funding?
Seems okay to me, but when I read through the recommendations, it would be nice to have the whole group together. Plus, I was thinking about bus drivers are involved. On certain of the recommendations, would the bus company be, I don't, there's different routes that they wanted to take. There are connecting sidewalks, parents in that area. I mean, this is ideal to have the input from a working group like this, but all those things come to mind, and I don't know how to get that input without a huge effort in getting a lot of people together other than the core group.
So part of their efforts, Alta Plannings, they did engage with the school district, Marshfield School District, and they went to the school board meetings, and they presented, what they're going to be doing. This same recommendation that the team has received has also been received by the schools, by the principal, I think, is on the team of both Marshfield High School and Sunset Middle School. And so they're going to have an opportunity to comment on it. I think First Student is their school bus company that's contracted with the school district to provide transportation for the schools. So I would hope that they're sharing that information with them. But, I mean, you're absolutely right, Jamie. We need it. This is a community, a project that is going to affect the community. And, you know, getting that engagement, you know, rely on those particular teams to manage their particular constituents, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and most of it is sort of very basic. Yes, that's got to be done, that's got to be done. So we might be able to go over it on the 6th and point out the ones that are sort of,
Jennifer, do you recall when we have to have our recommendations back to them? For the life of me, I can't come up with it right now.
2 weeks, and we did do community engagement.
2 weeks. Okay. So we have to have, so this is our comments on their recommendations in the next 2 weeks. And so,
I think it would be just beneficial to have a little bit more in depth of what's going on, because the general public comes up and asks us stuff all the time, and it'd be nice to have some answers for them.
Yeah, and I think I like your idea too, from the standpoint of looking at some of this stuff, because, you know, the people from the Parks Commission that are on this group represent us. And I think it's probably incumbent upon us to give them a little bit of guidance too, so that they're just not out there by their lonesome saying, oh, I think this is a great idea, or this is a bad idea. So I think our involvement, I mean, not necessarily nitty gritty, but at least getting to see some of these things are important. And, you know, at some point, I know, Jamie, if you're really concerned about the public in general, I suppose someone could always have some kind of public meeting that could invite people to come and talk about it.
Or at some phase of the project, if they want public input, Alta can have a presentation at a Parks meeting, which is a public entity, and they can provide some comment there if they want. If they need to have a public forum to collect information. But if they don't, then that's okay too.
Maybe it would be good to ask them to present at the February 20th regular meeting.
I think if we just go over the packet.
Greg, could
Yeah.
you send the commission the packets, please?
absolutely.
I mean, while we're going to get some information from the board, the final comment recommendation period from the team is before that work session, so.
Yeah, it is. I think it would just, my comments is primarily, it would be nice so that we're in the loop also.
Yes.
And because our constituents ask us questions and things. And then if there's something we see there that's like, we're really freaking out about it, then we can pursue that as well. And also being cognizant of, every time that someone does do a presentation, that does cost us more money, but also so that we can collect some of that information, and also have the faith in the 10-party group that is doing that is that committee, but providing them some feedback and guidance.
So when we get this final recommendations, when do we want them to present? Are you saying you don't want them to present? You just want to look at the packet?
Well, right now, I just want to look at the packet.
Well, yeah, okay, so.
Because we're in like step 1B of 93.8.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you,
But I think it would be nice to have us be able to view the packet before it gets its final stamp on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so are you saying us review the packet on the 6th and then maybe have them come and do some presentation on the 20th? Or are you saying don't do that at all?
I'm saying they're not even close to the final. On the 6th, I'd like to know where we're at and what the committee's recommendations were for priorities, so that we're all on the same page and we have the information. And then it goes back to Alta, and then I'm assuming it comes back and then goes back, and then everybody does their feedback, because the goal is summer, that at some point between now and then, we get the information and can provide more feedback.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize that it was going to continue all the way through till summer.
So what
The goal. You just come on up here, Jennifer.
Yeah. So one thing before Jennifer gets up here is one thing I don't know is if, based off of the feedback that we give them with this recommendations that we have right now, is whether we're going to have the feedback back from Alta prior to the February 6th work session. I don't know if we'll have that information back.
Yeah, but we have some information right
We do
now
have
that the
some
whole board
information.
doesn't have, which is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think on the
in
6th,
front
it
of
would just be
people.
nice to see, and then you can tell us what your guys' recommendation was to that.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to throw a wrench into the monkey
Yeah.
works, but why don't we just propose this? Why don't we just ask Alta for an extension? And so, because they have this set schedule. They wanted our recommendations back in 1 week, and I'm like, yeah, I can't coordinate with this whole entire PMT project management team in 1 week and get everybody's recommendations. I need at least 2, and I could see that kind of messed with their schedule. But why don't we just ask them to hit the pause button? We present to you folks on the 6th. You guys will give you the reports up front. But I guess a key stakeholder here absolutely is the PMT, but it's also the school board. And so maybe we consider inviting the school board to this meeting, because there was only 1 representation out of 3 at the meeting on Tuesday. And we really do, they're a partner. We really do want them involved. I don't want to, again, derail any of this conversation, but, we're the driver, and Alta has a set schedule. For them to do another presentation, they probably can, but probably would be a change order. I can certainly ask, but I think if we went over the reports, had that work session, if the school board attended, I think we could walk away with some good recommendations.
How about school board and a representative from First Student?
We will invite them.
Yeah, they come or they
We will
come or
invite
they
them.
don't or they
And I don't know if you guys did you want to open it up to the PMT? Because we didn't have a lot of attendance at Tuesday's meeting.
Open it up to whom?
The project management
Oh, I
team.
thought you said PMT. I just couldn't hear you. I
Yeah.
apologize.
I think that's a good idea,
Yeah,
to tell you
why
the
not?
truth.
It's an invite.
Yeah.
I mean, the school board's a major player in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to be able to, everybody take a look at it together, and maybe that way there's less back and forth later on.
Okay, and so we'll ask, because there's going to be, because this is it. Once we give it to them, they're going to take these recommendations, do a little bit extra work, and then they're going to stamp it as final.
Okay.
That's they have this prescription, I get it, this is how it's laid out.
Is there a way to get Alta to come up with a map that goes with these? Because it's really
We asked, they are supposed to be sending it over if they haven't already. I'm a little behind on my
There was
emails.
a map.
They-
It says
they,
have a map.
Did
that
they do it?
shows where
They-
each of the infrastructure recommendations is located.
They did email that to us, I think either yesterday or the day before. I haven't had a chance to get to the email yet, but they did
Thank
send
you.
that.
Yep.
And so we can send that over as well. And also what they put out there is, if there's something on here that you guys want to see that we haven't identified, identify it. So I also want to put out there, just because you're going to see it's very light on bike facilities.
Yeah.
Very.
We may comment on that, and we weren't shy about it leading up into this point. But their response back was they saw no one with bikes. Well, they did their site visit in the winter. And so, and even the Sunset principal commented on that. It's like, no one rides their bikes in the winter, which makes sense.
It's also not super safe, so
Well,
that's the whole point.
You
is-
build it and they will come. No, I was a little disappointed by that, but it doesn't mean that just because it's not on their list of 20 recommendations, we can't just make a right turn and make that recommendation.
Because they are consultants and they don't live here. We
Mhm,
live here. That's
exactly.
the whole point of having these groups, the management plan, all the people who are providing feedback. The reason why we're having this discussion is because we live here. So we're not professionals in that aspect, but we can provide input, and this is our opportunity to do so.
Absolutely.
So I would like that if we could delay responding to them. We'll have a joint work session where we ask city council to show up, and other representatives that may have some input into this, and we'll just hammer through that, get through and get our recommendations completed from the joint work session. And then maybe, I don't know, if printing out a map or having it up on a screen or whatever, so
We can have that.
and then we'll just have a concise way of getting down through the different recommendations.
So I'll email them tomorrow. And then if there's any issues, I'll let you know. They do have their schedule because they're trying to set us up for the construction grant schedule. So we'll just, I can't see that this is going to make a big difference. I'm just putting that out there just in case.
In
Yeah.
case, yeah, because,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how long their review till their final recommendations are released is supposed to be. They wanted our final recommendations by the 27th. Were they planning on releasing them?
They wanted them on the 20, yeah, they wanted them
One on the 20th, and they
21st,
pushed
yeah.
it back to the 27th. and
We'll get a
now-
schedule from them too, so we'll have a schedule for February 6th.
Okay,
So,
cool, all right.
yeah.
It doesn't seem like a huge pushback.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
yeah.
Okay.
So, just as kind of general background against this, I mean, I like everything that we've said, I think it's all great. When we eventually get the final product from this planning, the final recommendations and everything is finalized, at some point, do we involve the city council for them to take a look at? Because essentially what we're doing is we're saying this is going to be a city project. I know there's other partners involved, but eventually if there's a construction grant to do these kinds of things, it's a city project. And it kind of seems like the city council would want to say, this looks great, go ahead with putting in for the construction.
So as staff, we would never go forward without at least telling the city manager, and then the city manager would direct us whether she wants to take it to the city council. I suspect she probably will on this one, once we get those preferred alternatives, because we'll have some decisions to make, because if, like Greg said, only $2 million is really all they're allocating per city, and that doesn't go very far.
Yeah, I anticipate that in this process, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we kind of come up to the conclusion in here's project, you know, we would love to do project 1 through 10. We think our funding will do project, you know, half of project 1 or whatever. And then we present our prefers to the council says, oh, yep, sounds great. Or actually, we now like 3 is now better or whatever for whatever reason. That is, they make their decisions. And so I think that we provide them guidance since their plate's so full of what our recommendation is.
And then the last thing is, since we're thinking about having the school board come as well, do we have any flexibility in our meeting time that's going to allow them to come?
So, I'm sorry if I said school board. I was actually suggesting the school representatives on the project management team.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha. So
i-
the
if there's-
entire project management team, but specifically getting them in there.
Yeah. Apologies if I said board.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, we really would like to, I think it'd be very advantageous to have the entire team in one room.
Yeah.
I mean, because like Jennifer alluded to, I mean, it was, that last meeting was very light.
Yeah.
We had one principal from one school in attendance,
Yeah,
and so.
Yep, I was unable to make mine as well.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
And-
you.
And so, my understanding is, so we can have our 4 o'clock work session time, but if we don't necessarily want to, but we can go to 6 o'clock if we need to. We can take a good chunk of time to complete that.
Absolutely.
He's like,
So, thank you, Jennifer. I think that's great. If we can push it back, even if we don't end up pushing it back and we have to turn in recommendations, I still would like to have the opportunity to have the management team, it's just still to go forward with that meeting, because if there are some glaring things that pop up from that, then we can provide that to them as well. So, okay, perfect.
So to recap, for the 6th work session, we have funding sources.
Yeah, we're going to have time for one.
Okay, so we're going to SRTS.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing SRTS, and then let's do March for the funding sources.
Okay.
And that, Jamie, is why I use a pencil.
That's why I write, so that nobody can actually read what I wrote, and I can just tell them whatever it says.
We're fluid, very fluid.
All right. And then, any other items of concern or that you think need to be on our agenda, or other parties in the community that we should discuss some of these fun things with? We'll deal.
any other parties to include in the Safe Routes to School thing? Is that what you're saying?
No, in our collective information gathering, decision-making tasks.
Hmm.
and we can always adjust agendas at every meeting, that's why it's on here. Let's see here. Are we gonna continue to get our summary each month?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't happen this month. I have a brief summary that I'm going to give in comments.
Okay.
We had just didn't work out this month, but yes, our
Yes.
intention is to continue to provide that summary to the Parks Commission. I think it's a
Okay.
great tool.
Very
I think it's a
helpful.
good opportunity to be able to share what staff is doing and sharing that with the commission, so.
Yeah.
All right, so any other additional comments on future agendas? Nope, then we will move on down to staff and commissioner closing comments, and we'll start with you, Greg.
Oh, nice. So, just to let you know, to date, the city of Coos Bay has received 2 applications for the bicycle and pedestrian fact-finding committee. So, as you guys know, the bicycle and pedestrian fact-finding committee is set up to be 2 commission members and 6 community members. So we have 2 community members that have applied for the position so far, or for the volunteer committee. If you guys know anybody that you guys would like to, or you think would be a good option, maybe encourage them to come down and apply. I think that closes as well on the 31st. So we have just a couple more weeks, and we need several more applications. So, go team.
Yeah.
Another thing that, it's not on my list because it just happened yesterday, had a person come into the counter and was asking about creating a defensible space at their residence, and they butt up against John Toppet's Park. And he wants to trim back some foliage behind his fence in the right-of-way that cuts across the backside of his residence, but before he gets into John Toppet's Park. We're going to work our way through the process, but I think it's a great idea that he's referencing the fires that happened down in Southern California. So we're going to work our way through that process. Another thing is, you folks are aware of that the city did apply for, and we did receive a grant from the Oregon State Fire Marshal for the community wildfire risk. I can't remember all of it, but we did receive a grant to create a perimeter around John Toppet's Park. But we're in the process of working through the grant process right now. We were awarded that money, but there's some things we got to do before we can start spending that money. But that's a goal of ours. We're going to continue to go after those type of grants to create that. But we have some people that want to do that now, and so we applaud that effort, and we're going to hopefully encourage that effort. And we're going to support that effort. So we're just trying to manage how we do that. Probably going to be done through a right-of-way use permit, probably a no-fee right-of-way use permit, and then city staff will probably help collect that debris once they remove it and bring it out to the front of their house. But that just came up yesterday, so I want to let you know there might be some work happening near the park border, but I think it's a good idea. On the 9th of January, we had the pre-bid meeting for the Mingus Park Community Hall Foundation Stabilization Project. We had several contractors in attendance to that pre-bid. It was a non-mandatory pre-bid. We met here at City Hall, kind of went over the details of the project, and then from here we went up to the Mingus Park Community Hall building, where they were able to walk around, take a look at the facility, take measurements, and so we're opening bids up on the 23rd for that. So hopefully we get some competitive bids, and I'll be able to report more about that. I'll probably let you guys know on the 6th, the results of that. And then, I'm not sure if you're aware, but on December 30th, the city of Coos Bay, the lower lake, the John Toppet's Dam, we had not a breach of the dam, but we had a blockage of the grate that allowed the overflow to the spillway, if you will, was blocked off by plastic. Looked like a trash bag was placed there by somebody, and it blocked the grate, causing the water to go over the roadway, and it eroded away a 3-foot by 20-foot section of roadway. And so right now, the Ackerman entrance into the park is closed. We've reached out to a geotechnical engineer. They've been on site and are going to be providing an assessment and some plans to make those repairs. So right now, that entrance is closed. So we're working with them, and then also the Oregon State Water Resource, or Oregon Water Resource Department folks, because they manage all the dams in the state. And so we're working with them. They're waiting on our geotechnical engineer's assessment and plan to make the repair, not to the dam, but to the
Roadway.
backside structure of the dam. So we're just waiting up on that, and once we get that, then we're gonna move forward with a repair to that road, so.
And would that be insurance-funded repair, or is that coming out of general fund?
Right now, it looks like it's gonna be coming out of probably our capital fund.
Dang,
May come out of maintenance, but right now, it looks like it's gonna be coming out of capital fund.
that is no bueno.
No, it's
gonna
not.
be
It's
expensive.
Yeah, I don't know how much it's gonna cost. You know, we recently just did a repair of Pennsylvania Avenue, which was a bigger slide than what we have now. It was more detailed than what we are dealing with now. That was right around $100,000 to repair, so. I don't know, we'll wait to find out. So anyways, so more follow-up on that, but just right now, it's, like I said, it's closed, so we're monitoring it. Daily, staff is going out there, taking a look to make sure that it's stabilized and nothing's changed. Staff has been out there pretty much every day since December 30th to check the status of it, and it hasn't changed, so, which is good, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season.
I hope you had a most excellent.
I did. It was fun.
All right. We'll roll into commissioner closing comments. Bill? Good. Carmen?
Just glad that Safe Routes to School stuff is still moving forward, and I'm really excited to continue on our mission to improve bike mobility within the community. So it's just, you know, if the first real meeting of the year is a good point of reflection or setting a path, that's where I really want to try to lend my hand if I can. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, I wanted to report that Coco came to Rotary on Tuesday to do a presentation on the Scout Cabin, and it was very well received, and she made some connections with a couple people that are really involved with Scouts that are in Rotary that, they asked a lot of really good questions, and she'll probably get some of those folks to come to the open house this weekend. But she's a fabulous speaker, and glad that she's going to stay involved with helping us as a volunteer. The other thing, just personally, I'm entering into busy time where I do travel a bit for work, so I'm going to miss the February and March meetings. I'll be on different time zones, so it might be difficult to chime in, and I may be able to do some of the work sessions virtually, but.
Thank you, Patty. And I'll reiterate, it was a great presentation with Coco. I think she made some good connections with scouting and some historic leaders in the area. And a reminder to everyone to stop by the community building this weekend. It'll be open for the open house. So even if you haven't been there in a while, if it's been a year, it's even more empty and cleaned out. And there's a lot of stuff going on. You can really see some of the repairs. And she also has found some incredible photos that will be there on display of the cabin in the park throughout the years.
Yeah, one more thing I forgot is that she was encouraged, through me, they encouraged me to tell her, so therefore I'm telling city people, that she could apply for grants through Rotary Rotary doesn't give away a ton of money, but 5, 10, 15 thousand perhaps, again, because that structure is really important. I mean, she had a document that showed Rotary meeting there in the 1940s. So I wouldn't doubt if eventually we go there on one of our meeting times to check it out, so they would support it, so.
Awesome.
Rotary did help fund the first phase of Milcoma Marsh's improvement, so, and we're looking to get the money
Would you
from,
like to come do a presentation to Rotary on it?
I'd love to. And OPRD
I'm the
is
programs committee,
is
so.
in the wings to finish off in August. But OBAB had their first cleanup this month at Milcoma Marsh this last Saturday, and there was 56 people. I don't know if that's what's the record for?
That's not the record, but that was a good turnout.
It was a good turnout. It was a great weather, and it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people.
Cool. I would have loved to have come to that. Something else came up, and I had kind of planned, so I'm glad it went successfully. I got the email about the public meeting training.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
and
got
so
everybody
I
do
scheduled,
that.
I scheduled, and I will tell you if you haven't done that yet, I tried to schedule the very same day I got the email, and I made February the 11th. So they're booked quite a ways out.
It's a mere 90 minutes.
What's that?
It's a mere 90 minutes.
Oh, did you do it already?
Oh, no, I went and looked to see
Oh,
how
yeah.
long it was
I
first.
saw that. I saw it was on there for that long. I was hoping it really wouldn't take that long, but maybe it will. I don't know.
Is it by chance the same one that the state has me to do for Ocean Policy Advisory Council? I wonder, DLCD?
Yeah, is there, it's only one, right? Like, I'm hoping, because I got the email 6 different times, so I'm hoping I only have
No,
to
you
do
gotta go to all
one.
6.
I think I don't know, Jamie. My impression was there's only one, and everybody that's basically elected or appointed on a committee has to go ahead and take it. So I would bet it's the same one.
Okay.
So, who knows? I live up across from the Marshfield, the District 9 administrative buildings on Hemlock, and I made a comment to our parks people here. They re-gravelled the road in the parking lot up there, and if you're ever up that way, it's looked the best I think it's ever looked in its entire life. In fact, I told Greg that when I first saw it, I thought it had been paved. It looked so darn good. So they did a really good job, and believe it or not, that road gets a lot of use, and so it was a perfect time to go ahead and do it. I like the idea of cleaning that certain areas for defensively for fire purposes at Toppets Park, maybe even Mingus Park sometime in the future. And not only for the private residents, but I think it protects the park as well. You know, somebody's barbecue fire or whatever gets out of control. It would be nice to protect the park as well, so that's great. People did let me know that the road was washed out in Toppes Park, which is another reason I really enjoy your updates, because once somebody knows that you're on the Parks Commission, they always ask you about something that's going on in the parks. And so your guys' updates help me answer their questions and not look so silly. And something that was mentioned regarding the safe routes to school and some reluctance to do some things as far as bicycles are concerned. I just wanted to make the comment that, you know, I would hope that the safe routes to school is a long-range planning plan, a plan for long-range, not just current. And so, you know, bicycle usage may change over the next few years. It may increase. I see more and more people on electric bikes now than I have ever seen in my entire life living here. And so I think we have to look to the future, just not for the present. So hopefully they'll do that. So that's the end of my comments.
Okay, thank you. Greg, any additional comments?
I don't have any additional comments, thank you.
Comments? You're good? All right. All right, well, I just would like to say I appreciate everyone being here. It's 2025, and I think we're off to a good start already. We have some large asks of our committee and of our community, and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling. And I think we should look back on '24 and be impressed at how much we accomplished and be excited for what '25 brings. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and I wish everyone a good evening.
Thank you.